Much of history is filled with both glory and tragedy, much of which has been made in the lands watered by the River Trident and its three great vassal streams. Stretching from the neck to the banks of the Blackwater and east to the borders of the Vale, the Riverlands are the heart of Westeros. No other land in the Seven Kingdoms has seen so many battles, nor so many petty kings and royal houses rising and falling. The cause of this is clear. Rich and fertile, the Riverlands borders on every other realm in the Seven Kingdoms, apart from Dorne, yet has few natural boundaries to deter invasion of itself. The waters of the Trident made the land perfect for settlement, farming and conquest, whilst the river's three branches stimulate trade and travel during peacetime, and serve both as roads and barriers in times of war. The Riverlands truly are the central hub of Westeros. The importance of the Trident to the region was never made clearer than when King Harwin Hoare, the grandfather of Harren the Black, fought over the Riverlands with the Storm King Arek. The Ironborn Reavers were able to achieve dominance of the rivers by using them as a means to transport forces swiftly between far-flung strongholds and battlefields. The Storm King suffered his worst defeat at the crossing of the Blue Ford near Fairmarket, where the longships proved decisive in allowing the Ironborn to seize the crossing, despite Arek's superior numbers. The three branches of the Trident give the Riverlands their name. The Red Fork, coloured by the mud and silt that tumbles down from the western mountains. It begins in the foothills of the Westerlands, meandering, flowing northeast past Pinkmaiden Castle towards Riverrun, where it is joined by the Tumblestone. The Red Fork continues east through the Riverlands, with the lands of House Bracken to the south and those of House Blackwood to the north. Riverrun, the seat of House Tully, is a strong three-sided castle. Although not especially large, it borders on the north by the Tumblestone and on the south by the Red Fork, while on the west a third side faces a massive man-made ditch. In times of danger, the sluice gate can be opened to fill the wide moat and leave the castle surrounded on all three sides by water, turning Riverrun into an island and leaving it practically unmissable. The Green Fork, whose mossy waters emerge from the swamps of the neck, it flows southeast through the lands of House Frey, with the King's Road nearby. There is no crossing on the river between the Twins and the Ruby Ford. This has given House Frey a powerful position which they have used to famously enact their toll of anyone wishing to cross the river. A stone bridge arches between the castles of the Twins. The bridge is wide enough for two wagons to cross abreast. It is the only crossing point over the Green Fork for hundreds of miles, in either direction. From the north to the western Riverlands, it lies directly en route between Riverrun and Winterfell. The Blue Fork, named for the purity of its sparkling spring-fed flow, begins in the rills and marshes near Seven Streams, south of the Twins. The Blue Fork of the Trident flows southeast between the Red Fork and the Green Fork. At least two towns, Bramford and Fairmarket, lie on the Blue Fork. A sea guard lies near its headwaters. The ancient castle of Oldstone is also on the Blue Fork. The wide waters of the Trident are the roads by which goods pass through the Riverlands, and it is not unknown to see lines of pole boats stretching a mile or more. There has never been a city in the Riverlands, strange as that might seem, though large market towns are common. This is likely because of the fractious history of the region and the tendency for kings of the past to refuse the charters that might have given the Saltpans or Lord Harroway's town or Fairmarket leave to expand into a city. The Green Fork and the Blue Fork meet first, and then the enlarged river is joined by the Red Fork west of Lord Harroway's town. The Trident then continues east past the Ruby Ford and eventually flows into the Bay of Crabs. Saltpans and the Quiet Isle are located on the broad mouth of the Trident, with fields and farms nearby. Darry and Harrenhal are south of the Trident. Two places of note along the Trident is the Quiet Isle and the Ruby Ford. The Quiet Isle is an upthrust island that sits at the mouth of the Trident, where it flows into the Bay of Crabs. Southeast of the Saltpans and northwest of the Maidenpool, its famous sept is a refuge for those sworn to the faith of the Seven. Those that dwell on the Quiet Isle are male penitents seeking to atone for their sins. Only the elder brother and his proctors are permitted to speak on the island, and the proctors only one day in 7. The brothers are allowed to break their silence when confessing, and it is hard to speak of sin with hand signs and nods. Septon Merribold takes confession when he visits the isle. The brothers wear brown and dun robes, with wide bell sleeves and pointed cowls. Many brothers wind lengths of wool about the lower halves of their faces as well, so all that can be seen of them is their eyes. The elder brother keeps the worst of the tidings from the outside to himself, so as not to disturb the tranquility of the septry. Occasionally, some visitors are allowed to stay on the island. Some are women who are sick, hurt, or with child. The Ruby Ford is the crossing of the Trident in the eastern Riverlands, south of Lord Harroway's town. It has become famous in recent years of Westerosi history. It is named so for the rubies that were knocked from Prince Rhaegar Targaryen's breastplate during the Battle of the Trident towards the end of Robert's Rebellion. The inn at the crossroad, another key location in the main books, lies near the fort. There is no crossing on the Green Fork north of it until the Twins. The importance of the Riverlands, and specifically the Trident, can be seen in the main book series, with key events centering around it. Robb Stark having to pay Walder Frey's toll to cross would later prove to be the downfall for the king in the north after breaking his marriage pact with House Frey, and the subsequent events of the Red Wedding. It is also no surprise that many of the land battles during the War of the Five Kings and the Dance of Dragons took place in the Riverland, and around the banks of the Trident, as whomever controls the Trident controls ease of movement and the supply chain in Westeros. This can be seen in the Clash of Kings, where the War of Five Kings stops the food supply reaching the Crown Lands and King's Landing, causing riots in the streets. This disruption would directly lead to the Lannisters having to form a marriage alliance with House Tyrell, who control the Reach, to solve this food crisis. The reason I've chosen to start the History of the Riverlands series is because of the importance to Westeros and its role in the Dance of Dragons. It'll be one of the prime locations in House of the Dragon when it comes out next year, and I think it's really important to understand how important this region is to Westeros, and the events that will be covered in the show. My Targaryen History series has now also reached the Dance of Dragons, which again is why I feel now would be a good time to cover this area of Westeros.